Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Startup Sense podcast. This is your host, Jonah Lupton. Thank you so much for joining us today. We're looking forward to another great episode. Before we get to that, just some housekeeping here. As always, if you get a chance to subscribe on iTunes and Google Play, that way you never miss an episode. And feel free to shoot me an email at jonahlupton@gmail.com and let me know why you're listening to the show and what you'd like to hear from us going forward. So today's guest is Sam Madden. He is the co-founder of a company called PocketSuite. The website is PocketSuite.io. He's a co-founder with his friend Yang. Company's based in San Francisco. Approximately 5 people right now. They've raised about $1.6 million from some investors. Went through Y-Combinator, and essentially what they do is they've created an app to help service providers, like personal trainers and hairstylists and people like that, schedule and invoice easier. So let's talk to Sam. Sam, how are you, man?
Hey, good, thanks. Thanks for having me on, Jonah.
Oh, you're very welcome. How did I do with the intro? Did I miss anything or screw anything up?
No, you got it. Just to sort of reiterate, an app for service professionals. You'd mentioned kind of personal trainers, stylists, life coaches, dog walkers, and we help them with all their client management, scheduling, and payment needs. So our whole goal as a company and an app is to help our pros make more money from the clients they already have right from the palm of their hands.
Those are kind of like the blue collar service providers. I don't know if I've ever even heard that term before, but what about like the white collar service providers, the lawyers, the attorneys, the financial professionals? I mean, would those people also be categorized under someone that would want to use something like this for dealing with their clients?
So I think where we're gaining the most traction are around service providers that are on the go. So
Okay.
You find out a lot of those like in the blue collar industry. I mean, you mentioned some of them. The white collar, it's kind of like a hybrid. We do have like photographers who are on the go. Tutors, therapists who aren't necessarily tied down at a computer and who aren't necessarily don't necessarily have staff of 20 people who has like an admin at a desk who needs that sort of desktop experience.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I think certainly the people that I mentioned, the CPAs, the attorneys, they do spend more time sitting in their offices staring at a computer screen all day. So give us more detail on the app. So what is, it's appointments, payments, messaging. What else do you guys have packed in there?
Yeah, so it's a tailored experience depending on your vertical because, the service providers all, sell their time and a skill. So, a lot of these providers are similar in that, they have their appointments, they have their clients, and they want to collect payment, and there's communication within. So if you're a service provider, you can sign up, and the app is, free, and you can sync your calendar, import your clients, and start scheduling, sending invoices, add a checking account so that when clients pay those invoices, those funds get direct deposited. You can charge clients cards. And depending on the industry, there are specific workflows that we've tailored for your specific vertical. For example, you'd mentioned personal trainers. They obviously have, a calendar and sell their time, but a lot of personal trainers also, sell packages. So we help them with that to sort of sell their time up front and track those sessions. They have recurring billing needs. They have the need to allow clients to sign up for classes online. So, at the base of it, we give each service professional some core features to help them build a more efficient business, make more money from their clients. But, when it gets down to the industry specific, we also have tailored workflows that are really focused on these service professionals depending on their specific needs to help their business scale.
Okay. And the pricing looks like it runs from essentially free all the way up to $20 a month.
Yeah, when we sort of mapped out the pricing, we didn't want to exclude the service provider who is starting their business. A good amount of folks who come across PocketSuite are, leaving a full-time job or coming out of school, excuse me, and want to start their business. And, A lot of times you can't afford software or fixed costs when you're actually trying to grow, get your first amount of customers and get on the scene and build a reputation. So it's a freemium model. So when you sign up, you can get core kind of scheduling, invoicing, and payments for no monthly cost. It's just a low processing fee of 2.5% for any credit and debit cards. And then if you want more features, kind of like the workflows that I mentioned around packages, contracts, online booking, there are a couple tiers. $10 per month, $20 per month, and there's some custom pricing if you're a larger business. But really, we still wanted to keep the costs low to help folks gain for the first time, affordable software that can help their businesses succeed.
I mean, like you said, a lot of these people are just starting a new business, coming out of a full-time job or out of school, whatever it might be. Are they using anything else, or is it really just like what is the competition? I mean, in terms of are they using any software, or is it just pen and paper and emails and text messages and everything by hand?
Yeah, it is like an incredibly fragmented market where it's like for 80% of the people who come on board and these service providers, they are running like the foundation of their business on a spreadsheet. So Google Docs, logging everything that's happening in their business, their clients, their payments. And then like for certain workflows, like for scheduling, they'll use maybe paper pen and also Google Calendar and iCal. For payments, they'll have 2 to 3 tools from Square to PayPal to cash and check to accept payments. For invoicing, some of them will use kind of some one-off invoicing apps, or have a PDF for an email to send an invoice. For communication, it's text, email, phone calls, you name it. For contract signing, it's basically printing out a piece of paper and bringing it to a session to hopefully get a waiver signed or a questionnaire filled out. So when they look at their business, and they don't really, because these guys are so busy and they're just like, well, all they want to do is provide good service. So when we talk to them and take a step back, it's like they sort of talk about how they run their business, and it is, up to 10 different tools. So we really wanted to focus to democratize traditional kind of business software, make it easy, make it simple, and make all these different parts of their business talk to one another, so they don't have to be buried in spreadsheets, be paying or using or hopping out of 10 different apps or software devices. And then the other kind of 20% are typically using software that's just too much for them. Whether it's, the mind bodies of the world and the fitness and wellness industry, that costs a lot, is very complex, very desktop oriented, and just has too much for, a 1 to 5 person shop who just doesn't need all that, doesn't need that overhead, and wants something just simpler, more affordable, but mobile and integrated. So those are kind of sort of the demographics of the customers that we run into every single day.
Yeah, and it certainly makes them look a lot more professional, right? Especially when they're just getting started. Having PocketSuite to do all this stuff. To me, if I was the client, I would be impressed. I would think that they would, at least they have the appearance that they have their act together.
Yeah, I mean, and that's sort of internally, obviously, we're software for businesses, but about, 50% of that thinking internally, it gets focused around what is the client's experience. Because if the client has a bad experience, then they are less likely to actually return. So a lot of our businesses have repeat clients. It's a huge part of their business. So, we really focused on allowing these professionals to not only have technology to build an efficient business, but also to deliver their clients an Uber-like experience. So the entire client experience for about 90% of the clients that are on platform is over text message. So to confirm an appointment, to communicate with your service provider, to pay an invoice, to sign a contract, you don't need to log into any portal as a client, download any app, all over SMS text. So it really is native for the client. It is not cumbersome. You're not asking the client to do anything. So we've gotten a lot of great traction and feedback on that front, just making you look more professional and delivering your clients that Uber-like experience.
Now, when did you start the company? Crunchbase says March 2013. Does that sound right?
Yeah, that was when it was formed. So Yang, my co-founder, initially started the company. He spent about a decade at NetSuite, was one of the first engineers there. And he came up with the idea just to your point, like he was dealing with his cleaner And he kept on getting these text messages, these random QuickBooks invoices, these Google Calendar requests, just all over the place about, when his cleaner would be coming. So he was like, "This is a terrible experience for you," and I would, for me as a client, and I would assume it's a pretty discombobulated experience as a cleaner running her business. And he sort of like took that sort of thesis and started building a prototype. And then he and I met about 3 years ago, and kind of put our heads together, started building a relationship, and thought, hey, this isn't just great for cleaners. There's 20 million service professionals in the U.S. today who sell their time and a skill. So that's kind of how the idea formed about 3.5 years ago.
This is Jonah Lupton, founder of Joule and host of the Startup Sense podcast. At Joule, we help entrepreneurs and startup founders build, launch, and grow their companies by providing superior technology, marketing, and consulting services. We help clients of all sizes, budgets, and industries. We put our clients in the best position to raise capital, grow revenues, hire employees, and maximize their profits. For more information or to set up a free consultation with our team, please visit our website at joule.net. That's JOOL.net. Gotcha. And then when did you guys go through Y-Combinator?
We went through YC about a year ago. So for the first couple of years, it's just iterating, building. We'd raised a little money from a few angels, and then we got into YC at the end of 2015 and completed the program last year.
Now, the acceptance rate to YC is well under 1%. So what do you think it was about PocketSuite that really made you guys attractive to them?
I think it's this sort of thesis of building the future of work. So I think this two things. One, the future of work, where I think this sort of community of kind of independent service businesses, smaller businesses have been underserved for a long time, mainly because one, it's been expensive to build technology and software to sell to these folks, and two, they've been difficult to reach. So all in all, sort of the cost, the ROI on delivering software to this demographic of service businesses didn't really make a lot of sense. But I think that's changing, and mobile has certainly helped a lot. So I think it's sort of taking that first kind of investment and vision in terms of delivering software to this underserved community of businesses. And I also think like the market is so huge. I mean, the independence of the workforce is just growing faster and faster. It's the largest part of the U.S. labor force today, mainly because it doesn't cost an arm and a leg to start a business anymore. Like marketing can be done, on Facebook. You get a profile on Yelp, Thumbtack, and you can actually get customers. It doesn't cost thousands of dollars to set up an LLC for a company. You can, use software tools, like LegalZoom, et cetera, to actually form a legal entity. And there's so many other pieces of starting a business that makes it a lot more affordable. And I think people have also, after 2008, lost some confidence in the security of working at a big business. You never know what's going to happen. So I think a lot of sort of factors have sort of come together that has been facilitating the independence of our workforce, the growth of this community of service providers, and we're one of the first folks to help them grow efficient businesses with a software like ours.
What has been your marketing strategy? How do you reach some of these service providers and get them to start using the platform? Because it says right here that 25,000 businesses have used PocketSuite. I mean, that's a large number. How do you get all of them?
So in the beginning, it was a lot of outreach, so outbound marketing. I think sort of what helped on that front, and I think SMBs in general, when investors think about that community, they're tough to sell to, difficult to reach. I think that's changing because now you can find these guys online through marketplaces, through directories. So us sort of leveraging.
What's an example of a marketplace or a directory where you could find them?
Like for example, you can go to Yelp and search for fitness trainers in San Francisco, and you can call them and ask them about what their biggest pain points of running a business is, and to ask them to demo a product.
You guys actually did?
Yep. So in the beginning, it was like it was a sort of manual, literally just outreach to say, hey, like, what exactly is going on in your business? What's the true pain point here, and like, what do you need? And as we're kind of developing, accepting that feedback, we're developing tools to sort of bring back to these folks to see if it's helpful. So a lot of that was kind of some outreach, and then we try to build in some efficiencies around, getting the word out more and more. And then I think as more and more folks have been using us, what we're finding is referrals is starting to become a very big piece of our growth, where I wouldn't really say a necessary sort of, network effect like what, consumer apps and consumer tools can have, but a lot of these professionals talk in two ways. One is there are a ton of Facebook groups of organizations, of communities, of specific vertical professionals that just want to help each other, not just, locally in the same city, but all across the U.S. And they talk about what tools work for them. So that's been really helpful. And I think secondarily, which is interesting, is, if you are, for example, a photographer, you probably get your hair cut and, you go to a stylist. If, you are a dog walker, you may, your toilet may break. So a plumber may come over, and you may start to start to talk about, how you're running your business. So we're finding that cross-industry referral starting to become a large piece of our growth. And then lastly, we're getting more and more inbound. As we're growing, people are writing about us more, so folks can find us online. In the App Store, you're finding a lot of people searching for tools, kind of like I mentioned earlier in the call, for an appointment scheduler or an invoicing tool or a way to accept credit cards, and finding us and realizing, oh, wow, like I can get something that's integrated and talks to my invoicing and appointments and contracts and online booking. This is really neat. I'm going to check this out. So I think that's sort of how the progression has been as we've grown to thousands of businesses.
Very cool. What's been the biggest challenge for you guys over the last 3 or 4 years?
I'd say really kind of getting product market fit. And I think a tool like PocketSuite and a tool like ours because there are many different workflows, there needs to be a lot of iteration on the product. Because, if you get for example, if you get, appointment scheduling right for a specific vertical, but if you get the payments piece wrong in terms of their core workflows, then you're no better than the 2 different appointment and payments tools that they already use. So it really is a lot of, months and months and obviously years of iteration to get these workflows down pat. Because, the more and more features that you do have, the more and more of an iteration you need to make of the product to make things simpler. And also it's like, you don't just want to dump a ton of features into a tool, because then you're no better than, the larger software companies out there that needs a huge sales force, needs to charge hundreds or $1,000s per month. The second thing is also, you're working with limited real estate on a mobile app. So you can't just, you don't have a huge desktop tool or desktop interface for a lot of these customers where you can just throw a bunch of features and, have a help section and allow people to just find them. You really need to build something intuitive and smooth to give our customers a great experience. So I think it's iterating and feedback has been just a long-winded kind of challenge that we're starting to see a lot of fruits of our labor really take place here. So we're excited. And also, lastly, I'd say is thinking less about your company and startup in terms of like features, and more so about kind of what the client wants. And our clients, our businesses, and all they want to do is make more money. Most of them, they don't really think about us or any companies as their features. They just want to say, hey, like, are you going to make more money, and have technology be kind of a secondary piece. So we really try to get in our customers' mindset when we're kind of building out all these features over the past couple years, if that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. Were there any features that you guys have built that no one's really used, or any features that you wish you had started with that you're in the process of putting in there now?
Um, I'd say like if you asked us 3 years ago, we probably would have said, oh man, we should have started with desktop because like 3 years ago, people are like, oh, running my business from like my phone or a tablet, like that,
Right,
that's ridiculous. But now it's kind of, we basically slog through it all, and now we rarely get that feedback. So, that in terms of the second part of your question, I'd say that is definitely the one thing that sort of holds true and comes to mind. And the first part of your question, definitely, but I think like now, because we have so many folks on the platform right now, we get answers to those questions like really quickly. Like we won't spend months and months building kind of a really deep kind of feature and then release it. We will always just do, okay, let's test out this one particular feature. Let's release it. Let's tell people about it. Let's see if they use it. If we get no feedback on it, like whatsoever, then that's terrible. And if we can see that no one's actually using it, then let's remove it quickly. But if we see through the data that people are using it, there's something here. And also, which is, some people think it's bad, but I always think it's good. Feedback, like whether it's bad or good, is great. If we get a lot of negative feedback about a feature, like that's great. That means people want to use it, but it's not working well. So let's dig in there.
Now you guys have raised a decent amount of money. 1.6 million is that'll help you scale, but also hire. But you guys haven't done a lot of hiring. I mean, you kept the team pretty lean. What's the reason for that? I mean, it's just you don't have a need to bring on more people.
Yeah, I think what we have like an obsession with is to, we're building an efficiency tool for our businesses, but we need to be efficient. And I think if you raise too much money, a lot of times, that sort of incentivizes you, or just, for whatever reason, motivates folks to hire more people. And in software, a lot of that can go to a sales force. We don't want to build something that requires a sales force, because what we've seen over and over is, the more salespeople you hire, that just means you need to build more features, and that means you need to raise the prices, and that means you need to move up and up, more and more up market, and you just become, a traditional software company that's no better than, what we started with. So we really wanted to sort of focus on product, on customer success, support, and engineering, so that, when someone does join PocketSuite, they don't need a salesperson to convince them to do so. They don't need a salesperson to help them get started, onboard their business. It's very seamless. It's very human light. We obviously have, I think what we're best at is, customer support. But we're obviously there to support people with any questions. And that is so integrated, those questions, with product improvements and onboarding improvements, that I think that's crucial. But I think what we really sort of stayed away from is taking that money and, hiring sales folks. So we really wanted to stay true to kind of building an efficient product and experience for these pros.
Gotcha. What's been the best day for you guys over the last few years, and then maybe what's been the worst day?
I try not to be. It's obviously easier said than done, but I try not to be emotional, because I think if you become very emotional, you tend to make bad decisions. So I try not to have like specific days be too kind of exciting and also too depressing. But there's definitely, and like people write about this, there was definitely, elements of a trough of sorrow at some point over the past couple of years, where it's like early traction and then it sort of dies off and you're like, what the hell am I doing? So we've definitely experienced that period. And that's not a day, it can last, weeks or a month. But I'd say some highlights are, obviously, being a part of YC was, great. Some really smart people, and just, more validation about your idea and your business. And then also just, product sort of milestones. I mean, we were iOS only for a really long time, iPhone only, and about 70% of our target market is on Android. So we just released our Android version of PocketSuite about 6 months ago. So getting over that milestone was huge, and seeing a flood of people on the wait list just coming in with positive feedback and just opening up a huge market, the entire pretty much U.S. market for PocketSuite was really exciting for us as it relates to kind of like a team and like a milestone, so we can sort of start putting the pedal to the metal.
What was the reasoning for holding off on Android for so long?
I think it got back to sort of my efficiency comment a few minutes ago, where it was like, it is just so much more expensive if you are iterating a product. And one, it's like, if you have one platform, that's, hard enough and expensive enough. But if you have to replicate all that on like 2 different platforms, that was just really expensive, and resources we just didn't have in the beginning. And when we started, when Yang started building, 3.5 years ago, iPhone was the dominant player in just the market, and obviously Android has sort of taken off over the past 3 years. So that was kind of the mindset, just again, being lean, being resource conscious to start on one platform.
Yeah, no, I think that's definitely a very common approach. I think most startups, you do tend to see them on iOS first and then Android second, after they've kind of nailed that product market fit, and the amount of iterations kind of slow down. Now, I mean, from a developer standpoint, I mean, do you typically have to hire a separate iOS engineer and then a separate Android engineer, or is it the same person doing both, or same team doing both?
Typically, it's the former. So, we've got a team of 3 engineers total, and they're pretty isolated on their unique platforms. So we've got a couple folks focusing on the Android side, and one on the iOS side. So typically, when you're moving fast and like feedback's coming at you fast, you want to have dedicated people who are really not knowledgeable on specific platforms.
Okay. What do you think makes a good founder? Like, what traits do you think that you possess or you've learned, that make you just a good entrepreneur in general?
Yeah, I think when you start a company, you think it's going to take a certain amount of time to get traction, and it always is going to take longer, no matter what. Sure, you'll probably read about, in the headlines, because people like to write about, those companies that took off after, a few months or like a year, and are now, billion-dollar businesses. But the reality is, for 99% of us, it takes so much longer. So you really need to have a determination, a passion, yeah, but a determination, I think, is key, because with passion, if you get knocked down, you can, maybe take that passion and go somewhere else. But determination of like not giving up and knowing it's going to take a lot longer than like your plan A or plan B or plan C, plans you had sort of initially mapped out. So I think that's kind of a huge quality that you need to have to just not give up, because most people fail because they do give up, and for logical reasons why. So you just need to be prepared to kind of keep your head down and just focus and be determined and just not give up, because it's hard for everybody. We're all in the same boat here. You just keep at it, and you'll either find success because if you're a decently intelligent person, you can figure out problems, or a lot of people say luck. The more you sort of keep at something, you'll create your own luck, and you'll get a break.
Yeah, I mean, one of the stories I love to mention is the Airbnb. It's a $30 billion company now, but it was a huge flop for the first year or so. No traction, nobody was using the platform. Investors kept rejecting them, and that company went nowhere until like the second or third year. So you definitely got to stick with it. But anything that you didn't get a chance to mention, just in terms of growing a company, hiring people? I mean, you're in San Francisco right now, which is certainly a competitive market for talent. So maybe talk to us about what the recruiting strategy has been, and if you're still hiring people.
Yeah, it's definitely competitive. So we spent a lot of last year kind of recruiting, and start early, and we also sort of never stop. It's like you want to continue networking, because the time where you really need somebody, you can't just find somebody out of the blue and start right away. You need to sort of foster relationships and build relationships. So we aren't on a huge hiring spree right now, but we are always talking to people and seeing, if who is maybe a right fit and who is kind of the perfect person, because you want to snatch up anybody who may be, the perfect person to hire. And also, when we are, extremely ready and in need, we have a talent pool and network to sort of go back to really sort of put, make the move to try to hire folks. Another thing I would say, I think I touched on it earlier, is when, at least it relates to us, so hopefully it'll help, anyone who's listening, is, in the early stages, we thought about the company in terms of features. So we were like, okay, let's tell our community we have, appointments and invoicing and online booking, and these specific features, and let's see if they love it. And, we got some traction and whatnot, but I think where we really started to get more and more traction is when we thought of okay, YC has the phrase, build something what people want. So what do people want? People don't want features. Our customers want to make more money. So if we sort of tailor our messaging and tailor the experience around, we are going to help you make more money from the clients you already have. And then, the tool is just a byproduct. Yeah, you use this, but at the end of the day, we're helping you make more money. So you sort of get in our customers' mindset about, building something people want. People don't want features. People want something deeper. And if you tap into that and find that and build the experience around that, obviously, easier said than done. But I think getting into that mindset of founders of building a company is when you can start seeing a lot more successful outcomes in terms of metrics, customer love, customer engagement.
You guys have any feeling for what your customer acquisition cost is? And I mean, if you feel comfortable sharing that, feel free.
So it is in, the single kind of digits. And a lot of that, I'd say, it would be a lot higher if we had to, have, pay for a sales force, for example, or do a lot of outbound marketing. In the beginning, it was much higher. But now, kind of like I mentioned, it's come down a lot because of a lot of the inbound requests and searches, because a lot of the referrals and just people talking. We're pretty happy with our customer acquisition metrics right now. We just want to continue to keep those low, without hiring humans to sell the product, with improving our messaging, improving our community outreaching, and at the end of the day, making sure that if it is something, if we're building something people want, people will talk about it, because everyone wants to talk about stuff that's making them more money.
Do you have any tips for getting good press? Because when I go into Google and I type in PocketSuite, you guys have been picked up by a lot of the press, a lot of media outlets, everything from TechCrunch to C-Suite, and the list goes on and on. I mean, how did you guys get all that press?
A lot of it is, I think, two things. Is one, it's just writing. So, we do a lot of writing for TechCrunch, for Entrepreneur, for Huffington Post. So it's kind of writing, just if you're passionate about something and you write about interesting topics, then people will pick it up. And I think the key is okay, what is interesting? What is the market, or what are publishers sort of talking about and writing about? So I think one is you go to publishers and you say, here, I know you guys are really into this one topic, the sharing economy, or the Ubers of the world, and on demand. At one point, that was the hottest thing ever.
Sure.
Not only hey, can you write about us? Can you do us a favor? But we have our own perspective, and here is content. So it's one, is tapping into something that will get eyeballs, and two, it's you're not asking for a favor. And three, it's I'm actually not asking for any work out of you. Here you go. So that's one thing. And the second thing for kind of traditional, Wall Street Journal and TechCrunch, writing about us, is just not giving up again, and just constantly trying to pitch your story and tweak your messaging, and find writers who write about similar stuff that you're doing and have an interesting headline, have an interesting take, and just ping them, bother them. Just again, don't give up, and just if one message isn't working, then try another message a month later.
Yeah, it's funny you say that because like 10 years ago, I remember when Groupon first got started, there was all the copycat daily deal services. And then 5 years later it was Uber. So it was all these on demand, different, on demand for this and that. And now I'm just wondering what the next one's going to be. And I don't know, maybe it's AI for everything.
Yep, AI is definitely one of those,
It's
popular
like
things right now that everyone's talking about. Yep.
every 5 years you see a game changing company come around and then you see 500 copycats. We mentioned earlier that you've got about 25,000 businesses using your platform right now. I mean, where do you guys see that number going over the next 2 or 3 years? I mean, how big can this really be?
So there are about 20 million service businesses in the U.S. today, and that's obviously, U.S. alone. Globally, it's estimated that about 1 in 3 people works for themselves as an independent professional. So this is a huge market, and we're really sort of laser focused on that kind of 1 to 5 person type of business, 1 to 10 person type of business, and majority of them are, actually, a solo pro or a solo and a partner. So we're really laser focused on that business. So, we just think we're scratching the surface right now, just really focused on getting more customers or more of our customers on platform. And I think as we grow, which is kind of really interesting, is we're not just becoming a software company, we're becoming a platform where we mentioned earlier, help these guys make more money by giving them tips on selling more packages or set up recurring billing or putting online payments or scheduling on your website so you can get booked more often and fill up your calendar quicker. It's we have all this information about these businesses flowing through our platforms. It's like we can help them more accurately get more leads from different lead gen platforms. We can help them if we can help them get loans if they need to hire people or pay for supplies. We can help them, get insurance if they can afford it, if they're set up, if they match a certain criteria. So there's so much information about a business flowing through our platform, from their calendar to their clients to their payments to everything, that we really think we're building something that where we can add value not just on the software front, but so much more, especially as we get up to scale.
Awesome. And then where do you kind of see what's the end game for you guys? I mean, you've raised some capital, so, traditionally investors are looking for some sort of an exit at that point. I mean, have you guys put any thought into that? I mean, is this, or I mean, I don't know, I guess there's two parts to this question. Is one, any big partnerships that you guys see in the future that would really help accelerate the company? And then two, what would the end game be? I mean, is this a company that could get acquired, or do you guys plan on staying independent for a long time?
So yeah, I mean, when we built this, we obviously, I shouldn't say obviously because everyone has a different agenda, but we built this not to get acquired, but to build, kind of like I mentioned, this platform. And I think that's sort of what our end goal is. Step one is building something that people find so useful that they want to bring their entire business over and operate, and all their clients and everything having to do with how they run their business. And then two, turning that into a platform to help them further. And I think once you get that platform locked in, the switching cost of one of our customers is extremely high, because, if they leave the platform, it's, we obviously, I have zero intention of holding anyone hostage, but we want to provide so much value where it's like, if you do leave this platform, like, you can't get a great processing rate. You can't get insurance. You can't get an affordable loan. You can't get access to quick and easy sort of leads or tips how to grow your business, or when to sell your next package, or what clients you haven't booked in the past, 4 months to follow up with them. So that's sort of our obsessed kind of goal as a company internally, is to turn into that. And now, like, with that platform, it's, I think there are a lot of different partners that we can sort of team up with or build it out ourselves. But, we're obviously open to everything and anything, whatever is best for our customers, and most resource conscious on our end, helping them get new business.
Who would your dream partnership be with? Like, if you could partner up with one company, not necessarily an investment or anything, but just in terms of, sharing resources and access to their customers or clients, any names come to mind, or do you think about that at all?
Yeah, I mean, don't want to mention any names because that gives us limited leverage in terms of partnerships. But I mean, like there are like in every category I mentioned, from access to credit to access to new customers to access to insurance,
Right.
to even more, like there are a lot of big players in the space who aren't necessarily tapped in so much to this large and growing kind of independent market. I think over the next 3 to 5 years, like that is going to become a huge space because it becomes more affordable to market to. This is becoming a growing business, a growing economy. So I think you're going to see a lot more attention to this market in the next 3 to 5 years, 1 to 5 years, as as more tools like ours and as we build this platform bigger.
Because do you guys have any CRM features in your app?
Yeah, that's one thing we're really focused on over the next quarter or two. Is we release things. Messaging is core to our product because everything in terms of client management, everything is built around messaging. From that initial client intake, who you are, I want to learn about you, to that initial scheduling. Okay, let's talk, let's chat, to the in between, rescheduling and scheduling, following up on payments, to like remarketing. Like if clients, if you haven't seen a specific client that used to be a great client, like us telling you to do that and sending like follow-ups or rebooking reminders. Us helping you automate like that experience after you do see a client. Like why not send an awesome follow-up to make sure that they had a great experience. And what we're building in over the next kind of quarter or two is like feedback loops, like automatically requests for feedback so you can get better as a business. Which clients what clients love you, what clients you need to continue to work on, and us helping you scheduling those drip campaigns of when to go out, how to cohort your clients. So we made some pretty good strides this past month to help them with that, and I think over the next sort of few months we're really kind of laser focused on helping them kind of re-engage their clients in a lot cooler ways that they cannot do right now with the current set of tools that they use.
Oh yeah, everything they'd be doing would be manual, incredibly time intensive. And I think you're right. I mean, I think a lot of businesses fail to capitalize on the clients they already have, and instead of trying to get more business from the people that are already, they've already done business with, they go out and try to find new clients. And you can spend a lot of time and money finding new clients when you already have a pocket of gold, with the client base. So. Oh, you there?
Yeah. Sorry, you broke up for a second.
Okay. Yeah, I think we're having some technical difficulties. And that's pretty much it. Okay, so I got a little bit of editing I got to do after this, but that's my fault. Not my smoothest interview ever. So you did it.
No worries. No. Thanks.
Okay.
All great questions.
Okay, appreciate that. Yeah, well, let's wrap up now and then get you back to your day. And I got to go down to the animal shelter and try to adopt a puppy. So. Okay, cool. Well, thank you, Sam, so much. Really appreciate you taking the time to share all this stuff with us about your journey and certainly the complexities of building a company and going through accelerators and raising capital and everything else that we got a chance to talk about. So, any parting words from you, and then also let us know how we can connect with you online.
Sure. No, thanks, Jonah. Yeah, anyone can email me. My email's on our website, sam@PocketSuite.io. If you'd like to connect, happy to connect. Yeah, parting words, I just sort of reiterate that determination. If you are, I assume like a lot of folks who are starting businesses, listen to your podcast, but if you are thinking about starting business, or if you are in the trough of sorrow, or if you are, in the middle of starting business, I'm sure a lot of people tell you that, but I just reiterate kind of being determined and not giving up is what's going to differentiate you as a founder than anyone else. So that's what I'd say, but I appreciate you inviting me on, Jonah. This is great.
You're very welcome. Last question, because I just thought of this. So PocketSuite.io, right? I mean, the .io seems to be this new hot trend, kind of with tech startups, certainly because a lot of the .coms and .nets are already taken. Do you think having a .io, has that hurt you guys in any way?
3 years ago, maybe. Kind of similar to the mobile feedback I had mentioned earlier, where people were, once in a while, someone would be like, "What's a .io?" Now, absolutely zero feedback. So, PocketSuite.com was taken 3.5 years ago. PocketSuite.io, and now it kind of sticks, and zero competitive disadvantage.
Okay, cool. No, that's good to know because I mean, you're right. I mean, even if you could get your hands, I mean, I'm in the process of dealing with that with one of my companies. Is the .com is taken? I want it badly, but the person that owns it wants $80,000, and I'm not about to spend $80,000 on a domain right now when you're trying to start a business
Yeah,
and conserve capital.
it's a smart move. Yeah.
Okay, good. That's good feedback. I think that's helpful to all of us. So, well, thank you so much, Sam. Really appreciate it. Glad we got a chance to do this. I look forward to staying in touch with you.
Thanks, John. I appreciate it.
You got it, man. Talk to you soon. Bye.
All right. Bye.